All right, signal lights. When you're in green lights, you go. Performance mover, confidence builder. You get red lights, confidence cutter, performance stopper. So as an athlete, when things are going good, you're in control. You're in green lights, you're rolling. This comes right from my mentor, Ken Ravizza, out of Heads Up Baseball. You're in green lights, you're rolling, you're going. Things are going good. I call it the CAT approach. Confident, aggressive, and tough. You're confident, you're aggressive, you're tough, you're locked in the moment, you're going pitch for pitch, things are good, you got green lights. All of a sudden, things happen. A fish hook, something outside of your control, an umpire's bad call, an annoying fan, an error of a teammate behind you. You start going into red lights. See, every athlete goes from green to red. Every athlete goes from green to red. The ones that are really good, for me, mental toughness is recognize you got a red light, release it, get back to green. How many pitches can we play 9 people in green lights at the same time? If we do that, that's given us the best chance for success. You see, when you play in green lights, how do upsets happen? Why is it that the best team never wins? It's the team that plays the best. Well, when you got green lights, you got about a 90% chance of playing at your best. So you want to identify with your team, what does it look like? Right? 3 areas where they experience signal lights. 1, self-talk. What do I say to myself when I got green lights? 2, physical. How do I feel when I got green lights? The third one, what situations put me in green lights? There's some examples there on your sheet of green and red. But understand that when you play in green lights, you got about a 90% chance to play at your best. Playing red lights, you beat yourself. How do upsets happen? The team that's the favorite goes in thinking we're going to throw the bats and balls on the field here today and win because the name on the front of the chest is better than their name. Next thing you know, 5th, 6th inning, you're in a dogfight and you get beat because you disrespected the game and you didn't deserve to win because you played against the team in the other dugout instead of against the better version of yourself. Signal lights. Sports Psychology 101, the inverted U. Coming down here on the north-south axis, we have performance. East-west axis, arousal or energy. How excited are you? What happens is you're not excited enough, performance is low. Then you get really excited and performance is still low. So what the routine does, stay with me here. I know it's been a long day. We got about 8 minutes left. Stay with me. What the routine does is the routine takes you from falling anywhere here on this inverted U and gives you a much better chance to be a consistent performer. See, I don't think you'll ever be all the time in green lights. I don't believe that peak performance is about being in the zone and it's always going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Let's get that out there right now. It's about compensate and adjust, roll with the punches. And the better your routines and the more systematic you are, you go from falling anywhere here on this inverted U, boom, to staying right here. So it goes from, I have no routines, I fall anywhere in this continuum. I have start routines, I can be here. I got better routines, I can be here. I got routines, boom, now I got a better chance of playing right here and being at my best. And that is what the benefit of the routine does. That's where confidence comes from, is I know what to go to in the face of adversity. A lot of programs that I work with, when I get started, adversity hits and they run away. They shy from adversity. The great programs embrace adversity. They welcome it. They want it.
And that idea, we want our guys to recognize, we want them to be able to recognize where they're at on that spectrum. Another picture here with the signal lights. Green is happy, yellow is you're sort of in between, and red is the frowny face. You're not feeling good about yourself and your performance. So we want our guys to be in a green at all times, and be able to recognize where they're at. This is a part of where you're going to have to coach them through this. I think they'll be able to talk to you about it, but if you say, well, what are some yellow light situations? When would we be in a yellow light? Situations that might arise in the course of the game might be, we had a bad call by the umpire. I made an error. I threw a wild pitch. I swung at a bad pitch, or I swung at I didn't swing. I didn't swing at that pitch that was right down the middle. Those are yellow light situations where, how you respond to that particular event are going to potentially, lead to good outcomes or bad outcomes, depending on where your head's at. So, those are things you need to coach your players on and inform them of, and they're going to know, but it's one of those things that they need to realize what's going on. And like I said, they need to recognize it. If they can't recognize those situations, then they're not going to be able to come back from them and overcome that adversity that's going to be part of the game. That's everybody's going to strike out. Everybody's going to have an error. there's no kid on your team that's not, and the kid that's that's not doing those things is the kid that's not playing. He's not going to have any opportunity to be successful. He's probably just not in the game. But the kids that are playing on a regular basis, they are all going to make mistakes. It's just a part of the game. It's how we come back from those that ultimately produce wins or losses, I think, in the long run, or allow you to battle through an inning where in the past might have been a huge inning for another team because you just snowballed into 2 errors and wild pitches and all this stuff. Where now the kids might have a better idea. Oh, that was a yellow light. Now let me get back to green. Let me use my routine that I've rehearsed, and I've recognized that I need to do that. And now you find that that 5-run inning turns into maybe 3 or 2, and you're having a lot more success because of it. So, it's we use an analogy here or an acronym that's ATW. ATW is awareness to win. We want our guys to be aware of what's going on within the game at any particular moment, whether the game is huge or whether the game is unimportant, or whatever, or in between. We want our guys to understand the signal lights, and going back to the routines that we have guys write down, as you guys start this in your own program and try to develop one-pitch warriors within your own program, we did this at the beginning. We actually used stickers and we put them on the guys' bats. You can buy those stickers at like Office Max or whatever. They're red and they're yellow and they're green, and they're just reminders. They're advertisement for your kids to basically check in. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I falling on that spectrum? And that was sort of the way we started this routine stuff, was where we said all our guys have to look at their bat and get that deep breath and think, I'm in a green. I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna be in a green, and I'm gonna do well. I'm gonna do what I need to do right here to be successful and play in the present moment. Now, I know other teams have gone so far as to put like green shoelaces on their players. Just reminders, basically, advertisement to keep them aware and recognizing where they're at on that spectrum. So, you can try that within your own program, and as you guys start to master it, you can do away with some of that stuff. But I think the advertising, and especially at the beginning, is really, really important in the way you go about doing this and implementing it into your own program. The fourth part of this, is to release. I've got a picture there of a brick, and we use this analogy with our guys. And we've got a brick that we would hand to a kid and say, could you carry this and hold this for 5 minutes in your hand? And all of them would say yes. And okay, well, what about 15 minutes? Yeah, sure, I could do that. What about 30 minutes? Because 30 minutes is 20 to 30 minutes is probably about the time they're going to wait between at bats, if not a little bit longer. And a lot of kids start to think, well, this brick doesn't just necessarily represent a brick. It represents that strikeout I had last at bat, or it represents the error I made, or the bad outing I had, or all these other things, that kids are gonna do and gonna come in contact with throughout this game, because, like you said, it's just a brutal game of failure laced in it. So they start to think, wow, do I really want to carry this around? And we say, could you carry it around all day and bring it back to the field the next day? Yeah. Well, would you want to? They would not, and they start to realize, this brick doesn't represent my, a brick. It represents my thoughts. It represents what we call mental bricks. And mental bricks are that sort of roadblock to success that kids want to have. If they want to have, consistency within this game and want to have continued success and moving on to, bigger and better things, then they have to learn how to release these mental bricks. And again, that goes back to being able to recognize. If they can recognize, then they can use that routine that they've rehearsed, and they can release the mental brick in some sort of way and move on and get past it, overcome the adversity sort of that's built into the game. So we use a couple terms. One, we call it flush it. Again, going back to that advertising theme, is I have a brick that I write flush it on it, and I keep it in our dugout with us, and I set it right next to the bat rack, on top of the bat rack, so it acts as a reminder to players that I need to I need to flush it. I need to get rid of this mental brick. So before I go out in the field, I'm not carrying this around with me for the next 2 innings or whatever the case may be, because we've all seen it happen where a kid strikes out, he goes out into the field, and guess what happens the next inning? Well, the first ball that's hit is hit right at him, and he makes an error, and we wonder why. It's because it's very evident to everyone in the ballpark. Well, that kid wasn't thinking about what he needed to do. He was still thinking about what just happened at the play where he struck out on a bad pitch or whatever. But everyone recognizes it and understands what happened, but not too many coaches are able to coach that kid on how to move past it, how to get through it. So, flushing it is a mental process as well. It's sort of another routine that a kid's got to have, and again, we go so far as tell kids give them some scenarios, and tell them, well, if you need to flush that mental brick that you just struck out, don't take your batting gloves off until you're ready to move on. Or don't take your helmet off and put it back in the bat rack until you can move on and actually be focused on what you need to do out in the field. Don't have some sort of mechanism that they put in place where, okay, I'm not putting my bat back on the bat rack, until this is over, until I can flush it. So, again, it helps you to give your players some tools to use rather than just tell them off, forget it, or let's move on, or let's get, it's easy to say, but it's tough for a kid to do, and that's where you've got to give them the strategies and talk them through some scenarios where they can sort of mold them and implement them and take ownership in it in their own right. Now, another thing we use is a phrase we say, so what next pitch? It's just a game. It's not the end of the world. We want our kids to have a good perspective on things and understand that, what if they strike out, so what? Next pitch. It's not going to be something that we remember 28 years from now that you struck out on a pitch in the dirt. It's not going to matter to us. So we want our guys to move on. That's that idea of getting back to one pitch, the next pitch, and if you're thinking about past failures, that's only probably going to predict more future failures for you. So we want our guys to move on immediately. Use their routines to get back to playing the game one pitch at a time, as one pitch warriors do.